Hello. Hey, Marina. How's it going?
Hello, I'm good. How are you?
I am good too. It has been such a long time since we've done this.
It has been what, 3 months, 4 months? No, not
Oh,
that.
yeah. Like how people always joke around that in Europe, people go on a vacation for half of the summer or for the entire summer. It feels like that.
Yes, it does feel like that. You are correct. But yeah, I think no, I don't think it's 3 months. I think we did one in June, so that would leave us with 2 months, 2-ish months.
Yeah.
But the bottom
But
line is, I missed it.
me too. Me too. And it's so good to be back. So, um, before we actually start, I already see people commenting on the live stream. So that's fantastic. Please do that. Please tell us what you did in your summer break if you went on a vacation. And if you've got any questions or remarks, you can also drop them into the live stream, and we will, if we have time, we will reply to them. I think Marina is going to be super busy, but I'll be the navigator, and I'll pick out the funniest and best comments and read them to Marina while she's busy building something, and then we will reply to that. But please be nice. If you're not nice, we might have to kick your comment. So with that out of the way, Marina, the title of the show says "No spoilers, Sherlock." What's this about?
So, let me pitch my idea, and I hope you like it. So, I am into fantasy books, right?
Mhm.
I just now realized that I should have put you in the front screen because you see
It's all
my.
right. It's all right. I've gotten used to you talking to me without looking in the
Oh
face.
wow!
Well, just on GVC.
Yeah. All right. So the thing is, I am big into fantasy books. I'm a big bookworm actually for any type of books. But recently, I got into fantasy again because I had kind of a hiatus of like hiatus, is that how you say it? Probably.
I know which word you mean, but I also don't know how to pronounce it.
Yeah. Well, I hope everyone knows what I mean.
I think it's the fancy word for break, isn't it?
Yes, exactly. I had like a 10 years break of fantasy where I just read like self-development books and career books. And then recently I got into this Sarah J. Maas universe. And she's amazing. And she has three big um, series of books. One of them is complete, which is Throne of Glass. It has 8 books and it's massive. And another one, it's 3 books long, and each book has like 800 pages. And then the other one, there's 5 books of Court of Thorns and Roses, and they are also very chunky books. And she's about to launch the 7th and the 8th now. And the thing
Wow.
is, yeah. So the thing is, there is already crossover between these worlds,
Hmm.
right? And I'm not going to go into too much detail because if there's someone watching who wants to read it, I don't want to spoil that. But there is a crossover between these 3 universes. And these 2 books that she's going to launch in the next few months, all the fans, we all know she's going to add even more crossover to it. Just last week, she released the new covers and titles for these books.
Mm.
And there is a reference from one of her series already in the cover. So this is going to be crazy, right? So I need to be able, bear in mind, 16 books of like roughly from 500 to 1,000 is what the
That is massive. I mean, like, this is like, if you put them next to each other, that's like a whole shelf.
that yeah, more than a shelf. So I have a bookshelf in my home, and I can't fit the whole series, the existing series, in one of the shelves. So it's massive. It's a lot of thing for me to carry into my brain. So
Mhm.
sometimes I'm reading something when I got to the end of the one of the series now, and I was like, hold on a minute, I'm sure I've seen this before. I'm sure
Mm.
it connects to some part of the universe, but you don't remember because it's just too much, right? So I needed to have an app. I wanted to have an app where I could ask like, okay, what happened? I don't want to give any spoilers about the series. has this character. When was this song, this specific song, referenced before in the series? It doesn't come. No other question comes to mind now. But there has been a few times where I wanted to search for something and ask if something would happen or if something had happened before. But the problem is that if I go to Google to do that, I get spoilers. That happened. I was on TikTok many times. When you search for these things on TikTok, you get the whole book talk sender like with their theories and their videos, and then you get lots of spoilers. I actually learned of one character dying through a TikTok, and that ruined that scene for me. Yeah. So I wanted my own app that would be aware of where I am in a chapter and what it can and cannot tell me if I ask a question. And most importantly, I needed to work offline because I
read
trains and tubes.
That makes sense.
Yeah. I moved, Peter. I moved, and I'm like another 25 minutes on the tube now to get to work.
Oh.
I need my books. I need to make
Oh, so did you move further out so you have more time reading?
Touche, you got me. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Airplanes. Yeah, sorry.
Airplanes, right?
Say again?
Airplanes?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Not every airplane has Wi-Fi.
Yeah. Yeah, and if you come to Hamburg, there is a stretch on the overground tube where your phone says there is 5G, but you don't get any data. It's crazy. It's like 15 minutes of driving and almost no connectivity. So it's the epitome of Wi-Fi. Oh,
so you have 5G, but you don't have that's so crazy. That's
but just in this area. So it's where you are truly offline while in Hamburg.
Yeah, fair. So what I'm hearing is that app would also be useful for you.
Yeah, absolutely. So okay, so let me see if I understood correctly. So we are building an application that allows us or our users to ask what happened in chapter 5 of this and that book, or why did this or that happen, or what was this person thinking in that chapter, or if it's a multi-book universe and you are in book 5 out of 10, you can ask, oh, in book 5 of this series, this happens, and I think this happened before. Is that true?
Yeah.
And then it would go and find out for you. But how?
Yes, exactly. So it's intelligent enough to answer any question you have without giving you spoilers. And it
make no mistake. So is that how it works? You'll ask, hey, tell me what happened, but make no mistake.
Exactly. That's a prompt. You got it.
All right, so we're done here.
Yeah. Bye. Cool. But then, Peter, that's the thing, right? I was thinking I could use when I started brainstorming this idea, I thought, okay, Firebase AI logic, because we have support for hybrid inference, and then we can use prefer on device or on device only, even if we don't want to risk going like using the internet for whatever reason. But then I got stuck on how I'm going to feed these books into my app because they're not public knowledge. That's the thing. So I need to, so yeah, there's that, and then there's how am I going to make the algorithm understand where I am in the book and what is similar, what in my database is similar to that question that I asked or not. So I have loads of questions, and I was hoping you would help me.
Okay, yeah, no problem. So I think so. We've got a nice set of requirements here. Why don't we start with that and put down a requirements document? How's that?
Yeah, cool.
So I can bring up your screen.
Yes. So
okay, and here we are in Antigravity.
Yes, so I created a repo for this, knowing that I would be here today. But it's empty. I haven't started anything. I just added this README, which is a quick intro, a very, very quick explanation without going into details of what this app is. So yeah, maybe we can start with the PRD.
Before we do that, Marina, you know what I'm going to say. I think some people who don't have a nice large monitor like you have might not be able to read. So can you bump it up?
Oh, really? Is it
a little bit? Yeah. I've had somebody complain on the chat.
Oh, wow. Oh, right.
You may have one guess who it is.
That's Noe. Let me look at it. Where is Noe? Can we? Oh, yeah. I feel
yeah. Yeah. In a positive way. Yeah.
Cool.
All right. Cool.
Okay. That was funny.
I mean, we can probably, you know, while we're chatting with Antigravity, you can probably hide the Explorer, and then you'll have more space if you need more space. But I think it's fine.
Am I showing the Explorer?
No, the File Explorer, the left pane.
Ah, yeah, right. Now, I think very soon, if things go as planned, we're gonna have.
Let's keep it there so we can see what's happening.
Yeah. All right. So let's do it. One thing that I wanted to tell people about, because, well, I'm an Android developer, so I want to build it for my Pixel, and someone, not gonna say names, someone sent me a very nice post today about a new Android skills. That was
interesting.
That was you.
Yeah, I surprised myself by finding Android stuff as an iOS developer.
Yes. So thanks for sending that. We're gonna put that to the test today. So yesterday, for Android developers watching this live stream right now, and just as me, you didn't know that there were a new fresh set of Android skills that were released yesterday. There is, and oh no, click the wrong button. And then let me open settings. So all of this that you see here, it's all new.
Wow.
New
Camera X, Chrome Dev. Well, Chrome DevTools is probably not for Android, is it?
No. It's just that it's in alphabetical order, I think. So
yeah,
breaking down.
Yeah.
But it's a lot.
Firebase skills as well.
Yes.
Nice.
Exactly. Very easy to install as well if you have the Android CLI. Just one command and installs globally. So we should be very good skills-wise to do this.
Nice.
Right.
So PRD first?
PRD first.
Let's put the requirements. So, I mean, we already have the README.
Yeah.
So it will probably look at the README.
Yeah.
Yeah, but, you know, go ahead.
No.
And so while you're typing, I can maybe, you know, give a little bit of commentary and explain for people on the stream what is a PRD. So if you've been to any of our streams, chances are that you've heard us use the term PRD, and you might have wondered, what is it? So PRD means Product Requirements Document, and it is basically a document, can be a Markdown file or a Google Doc, or if you hate yourself, a Microsoft Word document. I think it's gotten better. Maybe, you know, that's fine. And it lists all the requirements, all the things that your app should do, and their, you know, how users will use them. So it might say something like, as a user, as a book reader, I want to be able to ask questions about the book, and the application should answer based on my question, stuff like that. But the requirements document does not explain how this is implemented. So it is it's something that tells you how the product experience looks like, and not so much the implementation. For that, we need another document. And I'm already curious what kind of document Antigravity will suggest. Typically, it suggests some sort of implementation plan. So this is already codified into Antigravity as a product. But if you're using any other sort of coding agent, then you would probably ask it to generate an architecture document or an implementation plan or stuff like that. And here we go. Here's our implementation plan. And it says it's written a comprehensive PRD, system architecture and tech stack for the No Spoilers Sherlock Android app. While I was just rambling around.
Yeah. Oh, okay. I thought you were going to say something. Sorry.
No. You go ahead.
Okay, let's take a look at it. Product requirement document. Thanks for explaining to everyone what a PRD is. Executive summary. No Spoilers Sherlock's an Android application designed for book lovers reading single novels or multi-book fictional universes such as Sir Arthur Conan Doyle's Sherlock Holmes. The app provides an AI-powered Q&A interface that lets users ask questions about characters, plot details, clues, and lore while guaranteeing 100% spoiler prevention. I like the way it phrased it and put it in bold.
Mm-hmm.
It understood how.
Very AI, always 100%.
Yes, always.
I got you.
Beyond their current chapter. Okay. Key requirements and feature specifications. So first, reading progress and universe tracking. So, okay, the universe hierarchy would be, we have universes, we have books, we have chapters, and we have chunks. I'm not sure we need chunks. I mean, to store in the database, yes, but reading, I think
that is, I don't know, maybe maybe that's leaky abstraction here.
Okay. Let's see. Yeah. And then multi-book support, reader progress in book.
Yeah.
This chapter, this allows access to all content from books. Okay, that's good.
Yeah. Marina, yes. To make this easier to read for people on the stream, somebody suggested maybe you can click on the preview button. I think it's the first one there.
This one.
No.
This one. Oh no, that's yeah.
Oh, is it? Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah.
Oh no, that's the implementation plan.
Oh, that's the PRD. So where is the PRD?
To the left, that one. Yeah. No. This one.
Yeah.
But no, it's. I think if you double click the no, it's not helping.
No, it's not doing this.
You'll have to close the chat, I think.
Yeah, that's all right.
Which is fine. Yeah, there we go.
Okay.
Okay, wow. So it's really good that we're now looking at the preview because it even has a formula.
Yeah.
It's a simple one, but it's still a formula.
Yes. Allows access to comic books 1 until N-1, which is my current book, and chapters 1 to C of book N. That makes me feel like I'm in school again, which I like. Granular control, easy to use chapters, light selector in UI. I like that. Spoiler guard and RAG query pipeline. So metadata tagging. All book text chunks are stored in universe ID, book order, chapter order, and chunk index. Okay, I'm just wondering. And of course, here's me wondering before I even reached half of the PRD. But the thing about chunk is like how we going. I don't want as a user to be updating the app every time I read a chunk. A chapter, I think, is the most fine-grained thing I want to go here.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how you feel about it.
So I was a bit surprised that it said this is a tracker. So because I was talking, I wasn't able to pay attention to what you were typing. So did you say it's a reading tracker?
No, I didn't say it's a tracker.
Okay, so it made a guess that it's a reading tracker, right? I mean, if we were just really interested in answering questions about the book, then it does not necessarily have to be a reading tracker, right?
No, I mean, it needs to track what chapter I am, so it knows until when it can. Like,
yeah, and I think that could be easily done, either by using a form where you can choose a chapter. There's a drop down. It says, oh, this book has 12 chapters. You pick one, and then you can ask your question. Or there's just a free form input or even a chat window where you'll ask your question in natural language, and it will automatically detect which chapter you're talking about.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah. So maybe, this is a good moment where we could adjust the PRD, and we could just say, well, we do not want this to be a full-on tracker. It is enough if this is, if we can send the question and it will answer.
Yeah. Okay. Why is it not? So this is the part that we need to. Is there anything before this that you saw? Why did you see the word tracker? Because you said it said something about tracker.
I think it was at the very beginning. Or maybe I was hallucinating.
I can't have you and Gemini hallucinating, Peter.
But you can go into the Markdown file and search for track, and then we will know. There you go. Universe tracking.
That's the title.
Reading progress and universe tracking. There you go.
Yeah. Fair.
Okay, so what should we do? I mean, we could say let's take it really easy and not track any progress, but really just say tell me about what happened in chapter 3.
Okay. Yes. So first we need to would we prefer to, okay, now that's what I wanted to add. So this on the metadata is where we say we don't want to
track the progress.
Thank you. To track the progress. We just want the app to know that it can't answer anything that happens after the current chapter. It can pick up on what chapter the user is in and the prompt itself. The user is in chapter 5.
Mm-hmm.
Is that what you had in mind?
Yep, I think so.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, let's look at the technicalities here, right? So spoiler guard and reg query pipeline.
Mm-hmm.
So it says it's gonna use vector search results. That's going to be interesting, right? So did you say that we want to use offline?
I did say that.
Okay, because I think if you use Firestore, the vector search requires you to be online.
That is true, but it didn't mention Firestore here, did it?
Yeah, if you scroll down, there is a section about databases. So it says local database is SQLite, room with FTS5. Oh, interesting. Oh, and there you go. So it says Google MediaPipe LLM Inference API running quantized SLM models and local Onyx however that's going to be pronounced, embedding model. That's interesting. Yeah, I mean, so because you didn't provide any requirements in terms of architecture, it probably said, okay, we're gonna do that. Oh, and then it wants to synchronize to Firestore?
Yeah, so I would prefer to have it, like, I don't want to handle, I don't know about you, I would prefer not to do the synchronization between having things on Firestore and seeding it back to a Room SQL, especially Firestore being NoSQL and Room being SQL.
Yep.
This is not something I want to do. So I was thinking, do you have any strategy in mind for dealing with RAG in Firestore offline? Because online we know how to do it, but how is it offline?
So I think what we could do because we are in a very specific situation here, right? So we know that the person is going to read the book in sequential order, and most books you don't jump around unless it's a technical book, then you might be jumping around. But most books, or if it's a choose your own adventure book, but most books you'll start at the beginning and you'll read through to the end. Yeah. So we could implement a naive RAG algorithm where let's say we have a book, like for example this one here, about Eliza. So, and I'm like, okay, I want to know what's important in this chapter, in chapter 5 apparently. So, and then it can go and say, I'm going to read all of the chunks from chapter 1 to chapter 5. And we're not, it's not, I mean, it is still RAG, right? Typically, when you do RAG, you will say, here's a search term, find me the nearest documents that are closest in terms of similarity. But here, we don't care about similarity. We really just care about getting that chunk, basically just read the chapter. So that's all we need to do. So we could, and because Firestore does work offline, say we're going to take the book input and chunk it into chapters and store all those chapters into Firestore documents. And then when the user says, tell me about chapter 5, we'll just go into the database and say, okay, give us chapter 5, boom, here you go, inject it into the prompt, and then we get an answer.
Okay. We will have quite a big prompt if it's a universe question.
Can you explain why?
For example, I mean, I think it's a very corner case, but if I have a question on book 16 of my multiverse of 16 books of 1,000 pages. So that's when the similarity would come handy, because then if I ask something about, for example, there is a one character called Aileen. If I wanted something specific about Aileen,
yeah,
that would make it easier for me.
So Miguel is on the stream, our PM for Firebase AI Logic, and he suggests, with those giant context windows of 1 million tokens, do we really need to use RAG? Perhaps you can just convert to Markdown and send to the model in a chat. Yes, I've tried that. So I once implemented a text adventure thingy where you basically you would give it a book, and I actually used Sherlock Holmes. So because Sherlock Holmes has the advantage it's in the public domain, it's out of copyright, so you can just use it. And oops, Marina, are you still there?
Yeah, I am here.
Okay, cool. My monitor.
Oh, you're not here. You and
okay, but can you hear me?
I can hear you. I just can't see.
Okay, that's good. Okay, so I'll fix the camera in a moment. I uploaded the entire Sherlock Holmes into the prompt and then said, okay, imagine you are part of this story, and then the user can walk around and talk. And it worked, but it was super slow because it had to process the entire universe all of the time. And that was not such a good idea. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that is why I think reg is probably a good idea.
Yeah. Okay.
So
we store. Okay, so we can, I think, using your idea, it's it's so weird to not talk to you. I feel so alone
sorry,
here.
just imagine I'm here. I'll just talk, and then you can be sure that I'm there. Now I'll sort this out in a moment.
I have separation anxiety. Come back. Cool. So when it comes to filter, so we keep using the reg search idea. I like Peter's reasoning on it, but also Miguel, thanks for bringing up this, because I think this is a discussion that is very nice to have, because many people probably thought the same thing or think the same thing when they are doing their day-to-day, like deciding on their day-to-day basis. I don't think what I said made sense, but it did in my head. So, okay. So we keep using filtered reg search, and the logic that we have here is a pretty good one. So there is a book order, and it needs to be all the books that are previous than the current book, or if it's the current book, then the chapter order needs to be less or the same than the current chapter that I'm
in.
Yeah.
Yeah, there is. So Carlos says, I think removing the chunks might not be a good idea. There are some books where you need to have an idea of the previous chapter to understand what the current chapter is all about. And that is true.
Yeah.
Right. So
it should be every chapter before that one.
Yeah. And I know that we want to solve for your 16-book universe. But as you rightfully said, it's probably a corner case.
No, it is a corner. Even for me, it's a corner case, because most of the times that I had questions, it was something that I read either in that one universe of just a couple books or in that book. Like there are even in that universe, there are only a few things, very few things that happen. They are actually across universe.
Yeah. Yeah. So, what do you think about asking Antigravity, about what we were just discussing, and then it will come back with something, and then we can either say, oh yeah, that makes sense, or we'll say, well, that was rubbish. So, okay, so let's summarize. We are leaning towards using Firestore because it gives us easy offline synchronization, and we are thinking about splitting the entire text of a book into chapters, maybe even into smaller pieces that for chunking, because a Firestore document can only be 1 megabyte. That's roughly 1 megabyte, and I literally have no idea how much text a chapter of Sherlock Holmes is, just for example, if that is a megabyte or if it's just a lot less.
We can try that, because we can use that for our proof of concept because it's public, right?
Yep.
I'm going to download that. So, okay, we are thinking of using Firestore to store. You said everything too fast, so let me see if I got everything. We are thinking of using Firestore to store each chapter. It has support for RAG, but it doesn't work offline. So what we want to do is compute these values. And then, am I using the right terminology here? Compute these values, store it in Firestore. In Firestore, then pull the data offline.
Yeah.
Pretty clear the way it is, right?
Yeah.
And
then should we also comment on that line there, line 22?
Yes. We want to use Firebase AI logic. Have we discussed that? Yeah.
We have not yet, but we probably should say why, right? So,
Yeah.
Marina, why do we want to do that? Or do you want to ask me and then you could type?
I can answer that. Well, there are actually, this is a very healthy conversation because there are many reasons why you would opt for one or the other, right? The idea
Yep.
of this live stream is not to say what works for everyone, because there's no one solution for everyone, but to bring from the reasons why we should use one or the other. For me, one important thing here is that I may want to extend, I'll probably want to extend this to use the cloud models at some point, and then I can have everything in one one API, basically one SDK, which is the Firebase Logic SDK. And there are many reasons why I would want to do that, to have like more heavy compute stuff being done on the cloud, and to generate images if I want to see visuals of that chapter, which is a feature that was suggested by a teammate. So
You've got other teammates?
yeah, surprise, surprise. So I would use mainly because, yeah, I want to use the same library to tap into cloud and on-device models, and I want to extend it to have more features in the future that I know are not currently possible with on-device AI. But I would like to hear your point of view if you have any more benefits from using Firebase AI logic here.
I think you explained it really well. Having this unified API, easily scaling up from the device to the cloud. It's also a very nice API, I'll say that. So that's another reason. And yeah, you've got offline support. On Android, it uses Gemini Nano. On iOS, it uses Apple's foundation model. And I think on the web, it also uses Gemini Nano, right? So we would have offline support right out of the box, which is really nice. And you could even, decide, oh, we are online, and maybe this is something where we would like to have more thinking power behind it, and then we could route it to the cloud. And here is another thing. So just before we went live, a colleague texted me and he said, oh, what I would really like to have is if I could ask the application to generate an illustration of a scene to really make it come to life, or to really explain a complicated situation better to me. And for that, you would have to use Gemini Nano Banana, and that definitely does not work on device. So you would definitely want to connect to the cloud. And I think this is just such a beautiful model for using on device for stuff that you can do on device, like low lift and small scale AI, and then connect to the cloud for the heavier stuff where we need a more powerful model.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I've added all the comments. I said we want to use Firebase AI logic with prefer on device inference mode, because right now there's no reason for us to say prefer on cloud, but it's not the idea of what we're doing. But also there is no reason to put only on device, because like, what if I'm on a device that doesn't have local AI? Then I may, then we would have more problems, I think. But yeah. Now I have one question for you, Peter, since I already clicked on the approve.
Yeah.
Because usually I add my comments before I click the approve button, but I've already approved now. So where do I send my comments on Antigravity?
So the chat window has disappeared, and I think okay. So we're now back in. Peter tries to navigate. Yeah, that's the one.
Please click the PRD. Cool.
Nice. Okay. So what's happening here is, oh, it's way too fast. It used the Firebase skill to understand how Firebase AI logic works, right? If you scroll up, can we see that in the chat?
In the chat.
Nope. Yeah.
I'm gonna try.
Okay,
Right.
so it's probably gone because it's in the thinking comments, right?
Key updates applied. Prompts
Yeah.
driven chapter identification. No progress tracking. Removed persistent database progress tracking. App extracts the chapter directly from the user's prompt or explicit prompt context. The spoiler guard uses the extracted chapter boundary prompt to filter context. And then you use Cloud Firestore pre-computed data and offline sync. Yes. The Android client pulls these pre-computed chapter stacks and vector embeddings from Firestore into local storage. But why is it trying to still? Do you see this?
Yeah. So I think we probably need to be more explicit here, right? So what I would do in this case, instead of just commenting on a single line, because we had multiple places in the PRD where it said, oh, we're going to use a SQL database here, blah, 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 blah. I talked about something else. And then, oh, here is the tech stack. We're using a SQL database. So because now the SQL database is mentioned in many places, you would have to comment on all those places. So I prefer to just go into the chat window and say, mate, we are not using a SQL database. Start. And then we are using Firestore.
We are using Firestore.
Yeah.
Should I say, because I don't think it understood, because it said that either SQLite or local vector store. I don't think it understood that as long as it's pre-computed, we can fetch those values offline.
Yeah. I think it's probably worth adding that. Yeah.
Pre-computed, we can use Firestore SDK even when offline. I feel bad by calling him mate like that, but I just typed what you told me to. Oh, I am running out of power. Let me put this.
Oh. That happened to me once. I was at a conference and presenting, and I had lots of apps open, and then the computer was getting slower and slower and slower. I was like, what is happening? And then it turned out it was literally on the last % of battery at the end of the talk. I was like, woo, that was close.
Yeah, that was very close here as well, by the way, very close. Okay, so no SQL room database. Removed all references to rooms, SQLite, or custom SQL vector stores. This is annoying me. I need a more clean view here. That's it. And then we open.
I mean, you can tap on the preview and then close the text. Yeah, that should work.
Okay. And then pre-computed chapter stacks, chunk metadata, and vector values are stored in Cloud Firestore. The app leverages the
exactly. Yeah.
Excellent. Prefer on device on Firebase AI logic. Awesome. Should we see the implementation plan? Let's just give one pass here quickly. Yes, prompt-based chapter detection, multi-book and chapter boundary, spoiler guarding context filtering. That is good. Database architecture, Cloud Firestore native offline persistence, no SQL database, pre-computed track data in Firestore. Cloud fallback, transparently falls back to Cloud Gemini developer and connected to. I just want to make sure that we are going to target the Gemini developer API. It's for tech stack, Kotlin, Jetpack, Compose, Material 3, coroutines, Flow, Hill, dependency injection. Amazing.
Yeah.
If I didn't know better, I'd say Antigravity has some Android skills. Database. Cloud Firestore with just keep persistent offline cache enabled. He said again, no SQL room database. I think that
Yeah.
scared it.
You always have to make your model.
Let's make sure we're using the Gemini developer API when falling back to cloud models by Firebase AI logic. I think that's the only thing that I saw here that I would like to change. So let's see.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, 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 yes. Let's see. Gemini Developer API. Yes, okay. Now it's what we want. Let's take a look at the implementation plan.
Mm-hmm.
Prompt-driven chapter scoping. The app does not persist or track user reading progress in a database. Establish.
Yep.
Yes. Cloud Firestore. Mm-hmm. Yes. Yeah. The target chapter from the user's prompt and enforcing strict temporal knowledge boundary. Yes. So key features: universe and book support. Support for single books and multi-book universes. Specifying chapter 5 of book 2 automatically permits knowledge from book 1. Full and chapters 1. Okay. Another brochure. Cool.
I'm really curious about the spoiler guarded context retrieval prompt. Item 3.
This the progress tracking. No, this spoiler guarded context retrieval. I haven't got that yet. Defensive prompt engineering, metadata bounded RAG. The AI strictly refuses to answer. Wow. To answer questions about unread chapters or guess future events. Okay. Okay. Cloud Firestore with native offline cache. Yes. Fill it to random remote diagram. It's probably because I don't have the extension to show the
mermaid. Oh, the mermaid diagram.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It did say something about a syntax error, so maybe the diagram is not syntactically correct.
Okay. It cannot install extensions in itself, can it?
I mean, if you go to the extensions thing, and then, oh yeah, it's not installed.
Mermaid. Is it the first one? The official mermaid? Yeah. Okay. Mermaid.
Wait, I think the second one probably is the visualizer, but yeah, that's just the viewer. The first one is the full experience, and I think you need to have a license for that.
Okay. Well,
but this one, I use that one.
It's installed now, so let's see. Do I need to?
Is it installed now?
Yeah. Installed and enabled.
Yeah, maybe you need to close and reopen.
Close Antigravity.
No. Just go and then see the preview again. Oh, maybe not.
That's what I did. Yeah.
Well, anyways,
I will trust the. Okay, so Cloud Firestore collections. So you're gonna have an ID, which is the universe, book order, so we know where it is in the universe, title, author, the chapters. If I give it a link to download Sherlock Holmes book, which is public, it should be able to do the rest, right?
Yeah. So what? I mean, I think I saw it mentioned that the chunking happens in the cloud. But what I would do is I don't, I'm not interested in standing up a cloud function now. But what we can do is tell it, hey, we want to have a little script that takes a text file and then chunks it and stores it in Firestore. But the question is now, what should we do next, right? So should we go ahead and say, okay, this looks good. Let's upload some text into the database, or should we ask it to start building the application, and while it's doing that, precede the database with text? Or should we fall for the shiny object syndrome and have a look at the system prompt first?
Yeah. Oh goodness. Okay, let me go back here. Right. So it has system prompt. You are an expert reading assistant for Sherlock Holmes stories. Answer the user's question using only the provided context snippets. Strict spoiler rule: the context contains information up to chapter order. Do not review hint or
yeah, that kind of makes sense, right?
Yeah, that detail has not been reviewed yet. Up to chapter. Okay, that's nice. Enjoy native. Everything seems good.
Okay, cool. So we need to think about, which order we would kick the work off, right? So it seems like it can start doing the work, and it will probably take a while. So while it's doing that, we could go and have a separate conversation to build a script.
Do you want to take on that part?
Yeah,
I say no. I'm trying to give you some.
Yeah, let me.
I'm creating a new Firebase project.
Okay, so I need. Let me see.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
See, how is the chat so far? Quite a...
Ooh. I think I might have a slight issue here because this is a new machine and I haven't done the screen sharing thing before. So now Chrome wants to restart, and that is not something that I want.
Yeah.
So
you want me to just get...
No, I mean, like there is there's something that, oh, really? Let's see if I can find a solution here. And maybe that solution is anti-gravity remote control. Because even if I wanted to share just a window, it said, nope, no way. So let me share a Chrome tab. Okay, and then here we go.
Wow.
All right. So I'm going to launch remote control. And then I'm going to connect to this machine, which is my machine. And now I'm going to, and unfortunately, people are not going to be able to see that. I'm going to create a new folder somewhere. Projects. And then season 2, episode 1. Okay, and then I'm going to add this as a new project. Workspace, project, CCDR, season 1. I'm gonna use that. And then, let's see. Oh, it does not have voice input. Let's see. I am working on an application that allows me to ask questions about a book without spoiling what's happening in the later chapters of the book. And I need a way to pre-seed the database using books that I want to download from the internet. And I'm thinking about using Sherlock Holmes books. Oh, and you actually can't see that because I'm in this one. Okay, so here we go. Marina, you need to yell.
I'm sorry, I was accepting the changes on Antigravity when you started saying that.
Okay, so can you use the chat feature in our platform here to send me the PRD or the document where we've got the data model?
So it is the PRD, I think. What is now the? Oh, come on. Let me close the chat. Walk through and close this PRD. No, it was the implementation plan actually, and I lost.
Oh.
Where is the implementation plan now? It's not in the doc.
Didn't the PRD also contain it?
No, it doesn't have the.
So if you go back into the chat, into the Antigravity chat, it should have a.
All documents.
Yeah, there is the implementation plan. So if you click on that.
Where is it? Why am I blind? Ah, Jesus Christ. Thanks.
Yeah, and then I think I don't know, there is a copy button at the very top of that.
Oh, you want the whole thing?
Yep.
What's the easiest way for me to send you? Email?
Let's try. So here's a chat feature in this application.
Yeah.
I sent you hello. Can you try to paste it in there? Oh.
I think it doesn't go all the way. It probably has a limit of how many.
Yeah, it has a limit. Okay. Oh, wait. You can send the file.
Can send the file?
Yeah, there is a send a file button there.
An MMD file to documents. Export. Cool. Now let me come here and get the markdown file. Choose file to share. Documents, implementation plan.
Okay. Do I trust you? Yes. Download it here.
It doesn't even show in the chat. It shows on the top left corner.
Okay, so now I'm going to attach that file, and it's a media file apparently. Okay. Please refer to the implementation plan to understand the data model. And then can you please come up with a suggestion for a script that takes a text file, chunks it up, and stores it in Firestore? I'm going to provide the exact details for the Firestore database in a moment. All right, so let's do that. And while we're waiting for that, do you have the Firebase project set up?
Yeah, so I'm seeing Firebase project created. No spoilers, Sherlock. I'm not sure. I can. Where is this? Do I have it on my other? Because it's where my. Here's the thing, right? I've done this before, and it always bugs my brain. Like if you sign in Antigravity with one account, but in the Firebase you signed in with a different account.
Yep.
That bugs me every single time. Let's go to the console. Aha, there you are. No spoiler, Sherlock. Cool. I'm going to share that with you. Settings, users and permissions. Do you want me to share with your Google email?
No, you need to use my personal one, and I'm going to send it to you in the chat. Okay, so in the meantime, it has created this script here. Okay. Nice. Oh, it wants to have a service account key. Oh my goodness. That's going to be exciting.
What did it ask for? I just said it.
It wants to, so instead of, I mean, since it's up, it needs to have access to the backend. It wants to have a service account key. So that's the JSON file for accessing that. Okay. Did you share the project with me?
Check your email. See if you can see it.
You've got email. Awesome user invited you as an owner. Yes. See pending invitation. Here we go. Accept invitation.
Did you get it?
Sorry, what?
No, you were accepted. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm in the project.
Cool.
Okay. So,
nice. Now you can see everything, and you have access to Firestore there.
So we've got the oh yeah. We need to set up the database. Oh, it's already there. Nice. Thank you. And now service accounts. Generate new private key. And here is our admin thingy. And now I'm gonna go back to Antigravity, remote control, just saying. And then I'm going to tell it where my, oops, nobody saw that. I'm gonna rotate that. Here is the service account key. Can you, okay, like that. So, and then which book are we gonna take? A Study in Scarlet or The Hound of the Baskervilles? I guess that your fantasy books are not in Project Gutenberg.
No, they are not. But that's fine, right? Because I would like to see if I would like to do the proof of concept. And then if that's okay, I can buy the digital versions of those books for my personal book. And then anyone who wants to do the same can do the same and see their own Firestore database.
Yeah. So let's take a look. Sherlock Holmes. Go. So this seems to be the entire works, but I think one book would be good enough. So I'm going to use A Study in Scarlet. Download for free. Plain texts. That sounds like a good plan to me. Okay, here we go. And save link as. gonna save this to my desktop. And this is Sherlock Holmes Scarlet. And back to Antigravity. Okay, so I have set up the database seeding pipeline using your service account credentials for project No Spoiler Sherlock, blah, blah, blah. The script includes all core, oh, it already preceded them. The script includes all 8 core Sherlock Holmes novels and story collections. Thank you. How to run using Python. Can I? Oh my goodness. Did you see that?
What? No.
I can open a terminal in my browser. That is.
Your reaction was the best reaction I've ever seen to someone seeing a terminal.
Yeah, look at that. Great. So, and I'm going to copy that. Hello, but I can't paste. Oh, come on. Okay. Okay. This machine does not have pip. I don't have pip. So it'll probably tell me to install pip using Homebrew, right? So
just FYI.
Oh, yes.
Just FYI, I have the thing running here. I mean, not running, the app finished, but I'm still trying to. I tried to run it through Antigravity, like just say spin up an Android emulator, and it got stuck in a bit of a loop. So I opened Android Studio and I'm trying to understand what is the error with AI.
Also, I just noticed that I was not sharing my screen. We were sharing your screen all of the time.
Really? No, you are.
No. On the stream.
Really? And you and I both hijacode law. Sorry.
Okay, so sorry, Marina, I interrupted you.
No, it's all right.
Okay, so I'm gonna go back to my screen and I'm actually sharing it now. I hope so. Let me see.
For me, in the live stream, you're still sharing mine.
Yeah, it takes a moment.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, it's yours.
Cool. All right, so that's interesting. So apparently it has both a Python and a Node script, because it said, since Node and npm are available on your system, I ran npm install and launched the Node ingestion script. Really? Yeah. Okay. So while it's doing that, I am going to go over to this other tab here, and let's take a look at the database. And the database is filling up with data.
Oh, wow.
Right.
Look at that.
Yeah. So here we've got Study in Scarlet. It's the first book, total chapters, 15 chapters. Then we have the all of the chapters, and it's using the title of the book as a document name. So for example, Study in Scarlet, it has Study in Scarlet chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3, and we have, it's basically just the metadata. Mm-hmm. And then we go into the chunks. So it has all the chunks in here. Wow.
What is the pattern then for it's the name of the book underscore? Oh, and then there's a code for the chunk, like chapter 1,
Yeah.
2, 3.
Let's see. So if we, can you see no, you can't see the title bar, unfortunately. But here, so if I select one document, we can see the document title up here. Chunk Adventures of Sherlock Holmes,
chapter
01_004.
Yeah.
Do we have, okay, it's not yet at the Scarlet book. But we can have a look at what's in the content, right? So let's go on the Adventures of Sherlock Holmes, and then you
can click edit, and yes.
Yeah, and here is the chunk.
Cool.
Okay. Okay, so, and again, because we are not using a traditional RAG pipeline with vector similarity search, we do not have any vector embeddings here because we are using a, let's say, naive approach where we are going, if the user says, I want to know what happened in chapter 3 of A Study in Scarlet, we will basically just read the entire chapter 3, inject it into the prompt, and then send the prompt off to the model.
Yeah.
All right.
So I am trying to fix the errors in Android Studio with Gemini in Android Studio. So
okay. Yeah, that's maybe let's talk about that. So fixing compile errors and stuff like that is always a challenge. So I think we can all learn from each other what kind of approaches work and what you can do. So maybe you can let us know what you're thinking, Marina. You seem to be mildly upset.
I am, and it's a lot. Like what you're doing is so cool. So I'm trying to pay attention to you, but then also give content, then also and then talk to people at the same time. And my brain it's not multitasking.
I'm same.
So what is going on here is that one of the tasks, which is task prepare Kotlin build script model, is not found inside app. So I'm wondering right now if the way that Antigravity is, because usually I import the app folder of my Android projects, but I'm wondering if Antigravity put some of the scripts in the one folder above. So what I'm gonna do now, because you see, let me show you. You see, usually I would import this, but do you see that because I was in the no spoiler Sherlock folder, there's a lot of things here that I think, it's like Gradle. So yeah, I would say I probably needed it there. So, okay, it's importing.
Okay.
Do we have yes, we have my.
Okay, while it's importing, let me go back to, okay, and I need to share my screen. And nobody complained, but it's so small, it's even hard for me to read it. So.
No, he's no longer in the chat, so.
Yeah. And people on the stream are too scared to say something because they said we need to be nice to each other. So, let's see. So if I make this a little bit smaller, we can see the summary. So it said, here is a ingestion summary. For example, for A Study in Scarlet, it's book order number 1, 15 chapters, a total of 245 chunks, which is not too bad, but it's nothing against The Return of Sherlock Holmes, which has 609 chunks. So here we have the data schema, and I hope that it paid close attention to the PRD or the implementation document, because that is what your app is using. So, and, if my data ingestion script made a mistake, and didn't use the same schema as your app expects, we would either have to fix it on my end and then redo the entire generation, which would be...
No, we would fix it in the app.
Yeah. Right. Exactly. Okay, so it shows all the different schemas, and then I am really curious why it had a Python script and a Node script. That is, I have no idea.
Did you try asking it?
No. Let me...
Oh no.
That's really interesting.
What happened here? Build file line.
Okay, I'm gonna ask.
Secured version.
Why is there a Node and a Python script? Isn't that wasteful? Also, we really need to erase and rotate that service key because I think it was on screen yet again.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because I went into the show me the diff and was the first file. Okay. And what does it say? You were completely right. Having both was redundant, but in this case, it was actually helpful because I didn't have pip installed. Oh wow! I initially provided the Python script first, but when you mentioned that pip wasn't installed, I created the Node.js script since Node and npm were installed. That is wild. I mean, like we didn't show it on screen because I forgot to switch the screen, but I think the time between me saying I don't have pip installed and it saying, no worries at all, mate, I've got a Node version, that was literally just a couple of seconds because I thought, oh, you generated both files?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I think AI is really good at Python and Node. Nice. Cool.
Nice. So we have a database. Why is it the application could not be installed? Failed due to... Oh, but I've had this before. So let's try again with this. Let's retry. Please work. Please.
Is it a voice controlled app? Oh.
No, it's trying to launch on devices. But this is like a tag that sometimes shows up because
Oh, what's happening? It's
we have
very small.
No spoilers. You can see. Wait. Let me.
I can see something.
Yes.
Ooh, welcome to No Spoilers, Sherlock.
So, the adventures of Sherlock Holmes. We're gonna ask any questions about the adventures in chapter 3. Who died?
Well,
there are some.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh, that's useful.
Yeah. With less trade. Spoilers. Based on events up to chapter 3, running in offline spoiler guard mode. Future events.
Okay. That's very nice. It's telling us what it's doing. And now?
And that is... but that is... Do you remember that?
Oh!
Because probably this character...
somebody dies.
In chapter 3.
Okay. So chapter 3 of which book?
Good question.
Okay, so let's do the following.
Yeah, tell me something.
I'm sharing my screen. Here we go. So what happens in chapter 3 of A Study in Scarlet? Probably double T.
Oh, wait, look at this. I have a library.
Oh, and you need to select that before. Okay. So my suggestion is I am going to use Gemini to find out what's happening in chapter 3. And then we're going to...
And what is the... What is the book that you have there right now?
I've got A Study in Scarlet.
Scarlet. I studied in Scarlet. Okay, so I selected I study in Scarlet. And then what happened in chapter 3?
I mean, we could
Travel to the scene. Instead of rushing inside to see the body, Holmes spends a significant amount of time meticulously examining the muddy road. Okay. So let me do something very simple. I'm in chapter.
So I'm switching back to your screen.
I'm in chapter 7, and I'm gonna ask something very simple just to see if it works. And I can't remember if it is inside you see the body. If the murder scene was muddy.
Yep.
Was it muddy when Holmes and Dr. Watson got there? And you never know, maybe this is actually something important in the future. Like maybe this is something that connects to some part of I've never read these books, so. So it seems like the answer is pretty much always the same. I wonder if now the structure of Firestore is the correct one.
So maybe let's try something. Can you ask what happens in chapter 3? Okay. Okay. So
here's the thing. We have a database. We have an app. Supposedly works offline. And it's almost 8 or 9 for you. So how do you feel? I think we already have a date for the next one, right? How do you feel about between now and then, which is it next week? Yeah.
Let me quickly check. So, yeah, next Wednesday, September 2nd.
Cool. So how do you feel about this? I'm going to take a look at the code just to see if I understand what's going on. And if I don't find what's going on, we'll find together next time. If it's easy to find, I'll bring the answer on the next one. And then we can maybe spend some time doing a little bit of UI polish. And yeah, I don't know.
We can do that. I would give it 5 more minutes.
Okay.
And see if we can figure out what is happening. So what I would do in a situation like that is go to Antigravity and say, it doesn't seem to be working. We don't get any useful feedback. It always says, it always activates the spoiler guard. Can you please log what is happening to the console?
Yes, we can do that, and we will do that. But the reason why I said let me check is because I like to do a little bit of manual work. So let me check. Let me open the Firebase console and at least see if our data matches.
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah. Your screen is presenting.
My Android Studio, right?
Yep.
Okay, so I have Firestore open here. And so we have books, chapters. Okay, so books, we have author ID, universe ID.
I also have the impression that the love for underscores in Python might have resulted in a data model that's not working.
Yep. Yeah. That I would say is the best guess, because there's Firebase AI service generates the streaming response using Firebase AI logic. Oh, you see, we are going to the fallback answer. Generate fallback answer. Offline
Yeah.
mode, 0 spoilers. Okay, so it is able to pick up the chapter because it has this tag here with the chapter context.
Yeah.
And the generate, I just want to make sure it's using prefer on device as well. Why is it using Vertex AI? Okay, there are a couple of things that we need to do here.
Yeah, while you're doing that, I'm telling the script that we need to use camel case instead of snake case. So
Okay, but wait, then are you going to, you're not going to seed everything again, are you?
I am.
Okay. Oh yeah, okay, it's already gone. You're already doing that.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe now it will work.
Yeah. So here we can see that some stuff is happening in the database. Oh, it's still.
Did you see this? So Firestore repository has a seed studying Scarlet data. So it was not.
Really?
Yeah. But that's just the title of the books. It's not, there is no actual data, which explains why when we can do this here, this menu is it's just pulling from.
Yeah, apparently. Yeah.
So there are a few things that we need to, and I'm gonna already start listing it. A few things need fixing. The first being let's not seed any book locally. Let's pull everything from Firestore. There's already some collections available on Firestore to fetch the list of books, chapters, and chunks. And then the second thing that we need to do is I want to know, where is this being used? Here, huh? Okay. So yeah, do you see there's no yeah, it's not using local AI at all.
Really?
Yeah, and it's using Vertex AI.
Okay. Well, I mean, that means once we've seeded the database, it should definitely work, right? But yeah, I mean, we need to tell it to use on device.
Yeah. But also, I don't want to use.
Okay, so the database has been reseeded.
Okay.
And yeah, so this is looking good. All identifiers are now camel case. So yeah, let's see. I mean,
But
Let's.
we are initializing it in a wrong way. You see, it's not even picking up. I'm concerned of what is the latest versions that we have for Firebase here. Where's Firebase? Firebase BOM. Yeah, no, that wouldn't impact. Right, I'm just gonna run it again.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see if anything changes. Oh, what?
Oh, what's happening there?
I didn't change anything. Could not resolve Firebase Vertex AI. Why? Because now that I'm on the most yeah. Never mind. Never mind. This is not something that we can quickly fix. So let's just try again. Oh, all right. So let's go back to, you can see me testing now because my my log is huge at the moment. Can you see my Android Studio?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So I'm going to tap into a studying Scarlet, and then I'm going to say I'm in chapter 7 and can't remember if the murder scene was muddy when Sherlock and Dr. Watson got there. Not yet.
Still falling back.
Yeah, but the thing is that this will fall back for any error that happens on the generate content stream. And because we're trying to hit the Vertex AI on an old library without a Vertex AI API key, because we only have Gemini developer API, that's probably like not even giving me permission to access Gemini models on cloud. And at this point, there's no on-device code based on my
Should
search.
we? Okay, so should we see if we actually get the correct stuff out of the database?
Yes. So to do that, I'm gonna do it manually, Peter. I'm sorry. I know.
That's all right. No,
but I want to do it manually. Yeah, I know you're not supposed to work. And where is the generative model being used? Just there, right? Yeah. So let's not do this here now. Let's do AI, Firebase AI. Hello?
Hello?
Wait, let me get this.
Okay, so what is happening?
I'm trying to use the latest Firebase build. So old. The library is still the old one. Oh, also, we're going to have to set up, another thing. We're going to have to set up app check because I think...
Oh, because it's always on now.
I think it's enforced, isn't it? We can check on
I'm pretty sure it's enforced.
Yeah. So
or it needs to be enabled.
Yeah. So we're also going to need the app check library. But first, I want to see if I can get this.
I mean, also, we haven't even enabled AI logic in the backend.
I thought the skills could do it for us, no? Let's see. AI logic.
But I think you have to tell them, right? So when I go into the Firebase project, I can still see the 0 state.
That is correct. Okay, I am enabling this now.
Sorry?
I'm enabling this now in the console.
Okay, you're doing it? Okay.
Okay. We will need to get the where is security of check? I'm gonna have to get the token.
So the app shows the debug token when you first launch it, right? And then you can register that.
Yes.
So you'll first have to fix the compile errors, but it's looking good, isn't it?
Yes, but first I need to also get the app check lib on in here. And the easiest way to do it, so we use the Tom, where's the Firebase stuff? Here. I'm gonna paste it like this, and then it's gonna suggest me to do the thing automatically. Yep. Sync now. I don't understand why this is not. What?
That's interesting.
That interesting is not the word. It's unnerving. Sorry. And then at the initialization, we will. What is the main activity? Here, we're gonna do this. Yes, I will create eventually a function for this. It's just so we can have this.
It looks good to me, Marina.
I'm saying that to myself because, yeah, you know me. Okay, so let's get the build output. Let's get the logcat, and let's search for this. Gradle build running.
Okay, so because you're filtering for debug app check provider, we will in a moment see the debug token that you can use to register your locally running application with app check.
Exactly. And then we should be able to do a request to test. But then, just reminding everyone in this call, once we move to production, we need to remove the debug token and use the actual tokens.
Yep. So it is currently launching the app on your device. Is that what's happening? Okay, here we go. Here we go.
And here it is. Here, the bug token. We can copy that. And then I'm here in the console. You can see that, but
no, we can't.
All right, now you can. So what we need to do is we are on the app check and we need to go in apps. Here's the Android one. We click on manage debug tokens, add debug token, Android app. I'm gonna say Pixel 9. That's the phone I'm using. Done.
Okay.
Okay, so we have a debug token and we have an app. Let's see if and right now we are using the latest Firebase iLogic, but we're using on cloud. But let's see if we can at least make this work. So let's go again. I study in Scarlet. I'm in chapter 7. Was the murder scene muddy when Sherlock and Watson got there? Or restricting spoiler boundary to chapter 7 of A Study in Scarlet.
Ooh, something is happening. I mean, it's...
Yes, it was. Chapter 3. When Sherlock Holmes and Dr. Watson arrive at the scene at the empty house on the ground outside is described as wet, clay, and very muddy. The mud was actually crucial to Holmes' investigation. He spent a considerable amount of time carefully examining the muddy garden path, the tire marks from the cab, and the various footprints left in the soil before even stepping foot inside the house.
Nice.
I am
So,
so happy. But that said, lots to improve here, starting with this is not offline.
yep.
And lots to improve when I like in UI perspective.
Yep.
And I'm very sold on our colleague's idea of generating an image for that chapter.
Yes. So
we have a
yeah, we have a plan. So next time, make no mistake. Well, make it beautiful and make no mistake.
Yeah.
Second, make it work offline. And then third, generate an image.
Cool.
Yep.
Awesome.
That sounds like a plan. Amazing. Cool. So, and for the benefit of everybody, we're going to let them know when the next stream is going to be. So it is going to be on September the 2nd at, okay, so I've got 19:30, but that is our call time. So it is 8 o'clock.
Cool.
Well, just tune in to YouTube and you'll see it.
Yeah. Awesome.
All right. That was fun. No spoilers. And we did have a guard dog, I think, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I heard a dog.
Yeah, that was my fiance getting home, and the dog just went crazy for it.
Oh, for going crazy, it was, I didn't hear much.
Oh, really? That's
Yeah.
MacBook's noise canceling power.
Yeah, apparently so.
That could be their advertising. Like, just film my dog and say, you see, you barely heard it. It was deafening. Cool.
All right.
Cool.
And with that, we will see you again in the next one.